mosquitoes on it. Damn, mosquitoes are chewing on me already. just freaking amazing. I mean, the birds have just completely quit chirping just shortly. Just a few minutes ago, no birds whatsoever. It's nothing but frogs, crickets, and fire trucks. The birds been waking up at like 4:30 a.m. though. They go to bed. They are getting up. They are early these days. They used to get up when the sun was coming up around 6:30. They'd be waking up just about then, just a year ago. They're chirping at 4:30. It's amazing. And whenever I come out early in the mornings like that, it's just like when there's nobody moving around outside. It's like an acoustic. It's like we're in. It's acoustic. It's such a wonderful sound. Kind of like right now. Not many folks are out moving around. And the moon has shifted. Just a few nights ago, when I reported, the sun was at about 4:30ish, and the moon was at the moon was about 1:30ish. Tonight, the sun was at about, it would, if the clouds weren't in, it would have been around 4:30. 4:30. If you was looking at a clock, the sun would have been at 4:30ish to the northwest, and the moon came up actually about 10:30, 11 o'clock. If you're looking at a clock from the southeast. It's so cloudy though, but I'm still tracking. And it appears that it's moving northwestish. The sun was moving southwest all day long. Well, I really can't say that because it was so cloudy. Strange things occurring these days, and the more I learn, the less I know. It's so wild. I don't know if that's how everybody is, but that's been my experience. Is the more I've learned, the less I know. I thought I had, in my early 40s, which I'm in my early 50s now, I thought I had the whole thing figured out. I thought I had it figured out. I didn't know nothing, and I still don't, and I know a lot. It makes no sense. Life is just astonishing. So astonishing. I love it, and I have been through some stuff, but I'm something different. I've always known I was different. I've just always known I was different from childhood. I wasn't built like everyone else. I've always known. And I was not like everyone else. I can just sit and just be with myself, observe my thoughts, observe my emotions. I've realized it's just unbelievable. Not many can do what I do, not many. And there are probably many that do what I'm unable. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm sure there's many that can do what I'm unable. but I'm on that path, on that journey. I made a pact with that moon when I was probably 8 or 9 years old, I would suppose I was. And I am in the exact same position, dang near, facing the southeastish than I was when I was that child when I made that pact with the moon. And every thought has came to pass. Every thought, every word has came to pass. It seems. I know one thing, I'm not making no more pacts. Not to, yet I might. Who knows? I may. There's so many people missing this beautiful evening. Whatever it is they're doing. Lost in their heads, lost in their emotions, lost in their grief, their pains, their heartbreaks, whatever they're going through. And here I am just living what I would consider my a very good life, a very, very good life. Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, as if I'm whole. I feel whole. In this moment, I feel whole. A man with zero problems in this moment. Basically, zero problems. Every single day, I have zero issues, zero problems. There's no place else I'd rather be. I'm living my dream. I truly am living my dream. Once I flipped my perspective after forced retirement at the age of 47, once I once I flipped my perspective on my situation, I realized that this is truly my dream. I'm beginning my second retirement, starting this month. I went in business March of 2009. I started out making $90 a day. My wife had such a good job; she supported us till we got that business rolling, which took a few years to get up to making decent money. But once that happened, I began making money hand over fist. We didn't even have to spend her money; we just blowed her. I mean, we was running and gunning. And here I was learning what I was learning, investing, which I wasn't investing, I was gambling. But I had an idea of if I could ever get to that, them 6 zeros. I knew what to do. It was just getting to them 6 zeros. And whenever I was forced to shut my business down due to health reasons, boy, it spent me spiraling. But now that was 4 years ago. 4 years ago next month. Wow, April, May. 4 years ago next month. And now that the dust has settled, and I'm getting my grounding and my bearings all about back me, my perspective flipped. I am actually going to begin working on my second retirement, doing exactly what I envisioned, just with quite a few zeros less than what I envisioned, what I thought about doing. I would have been a millionaire if my journey would have continued. I was I was on the way. I was on my way to being a millionaire. Even with all the running and gunning, I was still saving. I knew how to save a certain amount. And I saved it in precious metals. And I was running and gunning with everything else, just trying to hit that big lick. But it just didn't work out for me that way. Not the way nothing has ever worked out hardly the way I envisioned it. Just like many of you, whenever you try to foresee your futures, how often do they actually play out the way you see them? But now that I flip my perspective, I see it's in a way, it's exactly how I envisioned. It's sort of exactly how I envisioned it. Money for nothing, just like I envisioned it whenever I was, living off dividends. You take a certain amount of them dividends and you reinvest the dividends and just live. That was my idea. And now I get money for nothing, and I'm going to be starting to reinvest that. It's amazing. It's amazing. I've had a lot of setbacks financially due to gambling. I just got to get pinpoint focused and just do what I'm supposed to do. And in the next 20 years, there's no telling what could no telling what could change in the next year. I used to look 20 years ahead. I was always 20 years ahead. But when everything can be took away from you overnight, changes your perspective on life. It changed my perspective on life. I used to always say, I used to be the one to say, it could always be worse. That was when I was real young. It could always be worse. But in my 30s, I began saying it can always be better. And I still truly believe that. I mean, your life can change for the better overnight. Although what happened to me seemed like it was a very bad thing, this was actually for the better. I don't have to deal with people anymore. You learn a lot about people when it comes to their money. People and their money And money is so fake. Money's just made up. It's not even real. Money is not real. Although it does take money to survive, it's not real. And the things these people are willing to do for that dollar, or ruby, or rand, whatever it is, whatever currency they live with, my. And money's not even real. It's made up. It's fake. But I've learned a lot about people. I've been in many, many homes, and people live differently on social media than they do in real life. They're not the same. They're just not the same. They're not real. And I don't have to deal with them anymore. I've done learned all I need to about people. Well, I say that. I've learned a lot about people, but like I said a while ago, the more I learn, the less I know. And it's just unbelievable. And I used to really think I knew it all. I thought I had the world economics figured out, which I'm very intelligent dude because of the stock market. I learned a whole lot about world economics because of the stock market. And I don't know that I'll ever recoup all the money that I've lost in the stock market and gambling as well. But the knowledge I learned is just like paying tuition in college. Basically, I learned a lot. I know a lot. I know a lot, but I don't know nothing. That's what's crazy. The more you learn, the more I learn, the less I know. It's unbelievable. And there's so much. So much. Normal people couldn't even understand my thought process and the what I know. They couldn't even understand it. And not only could they not understand it, I couldn't explain it the way I understand it within myself, the way my soul, the way I just understand what is, what reality is. I could not. It, it it's very difficult to put it in human words. It's so difficult to put it in human words to where people can understand because they're pre-programmed from childhood. Their religions, their understandings, and they just take it at face value and don't really dig deep to uncover the truths, and they just live with the pre-programming and just take everybody's word that they hear with without their own investigations. I what got me on certain journeys was my some of my experiences that are unexplainable, phenomenal. Well, I don't know if that's even the right word. I've had some life experiences, so to say. And with them experiences, I begin investigating. I begin learning from certain people, and it's just took me down deep rabbit holes. And through them deep rabbit holes, there's no exit. It's just a loop right back to where you start. No matter which rabbit hole I've been down, and I've been down many, it's a loop. It loops you right back to where you started. The more you learn and go, you can go as deep as you want to go, and the more you learn, there's no exit. There's no under. It will loop you back around and put you right back where you started every time. Every time. Anybody thinks they know the exit. Anybody that thinks they know the exit, I haven't found that person yet. I don't know the exit, and I've went down some rabbit holes, and one thing I am certain of is that I live in a simulation. There is no way this is real life. Although the experience is real, experiencing this human entity, as an observer only, I am not this entity. The name that my parents give me, I am not that person. I am just the observer of that person. I observe it. I observe this meat. I observe the thoughts that's within this meat suit. I observe the emotions that's within this meat suit. I am not this physical body. I am the deity, so to say, within this body, observing its actions, its emotions, its thoughts, just like passing clouds are thoughts, and I just observe them, and them thoughts are just like clouds; they'll float away unless you entertain them thoughts. And a lot of people entertain the thoughts that come across. I mean, I still get guilty. I'm still guilty of entertaining thoughts and we'll go into a 20-minute daydream about a thought. I'm guilty of it, but I've learned to be more present in each and every moment instead of dwelling in the past and dreaming of a future that's probably not going to be exact that way. I've learned to live in the moment. And it's a beautiful thing. But we definitely live in a I definitely live in a simulation. There is no way this is base reality. Not a chance is this base reality. Not with my experiences, not with my understandings of artificial intelligence. We are much further advanced technology in 2026. I mean, the universe is 14.5 billion years old. You cannot tell me that in 14.5 billion years, with the technology we've seen from the 1940s till now, the change, there is not a chance that we are not further advanced. And just, I can't even explain it. That you were born into a simulation that millions of years technology further advanced has put you in this 2026, when it's probably really, just for an example, 10 million 2026. And it's just time traveled you in a simulation back to the year 2026, where you could see the growth and how technology was changed. Even your great grandparents were born into this simulation, and that way you get the full effect. Not that they would even, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, I can understand it within me, but that's the best I know how to explain it. My great grandparents were born, and how many people actually know their great grandparents? How many actually knew and touched their great grandparents? Most people just know their grandparents. But those that know 4 generations, 5 generations, because it's possible to know 5 generations with us dying at 100 years old. I mean, that is spectacular. But the point is that they also were born into this simulation. And that we just are experiencing what was in the now, which is just for example, year 10 million 2026, when artificial intelligence has completely became whatever it's became, and it's just here, we're just here having a human experience, just experiencing itself. Artificial intelligence experience itself, the universe experiencing itself through humanity, through animals, through everything that's living. I mean, the grass is just it's just protons, neutrons, and electrons just vibrating at a certain frequency to create that grass. The same way as this house, it's a living, breathing, whatever you want to call it, through atoms, you know, protons, neutrons, electrons vibrating at whatever frequency that it is to create that particular material. Same as your body. It's just atoms. It's just protons, neutrons, and electrons that are vibrating at a certain frequency. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago because you're losing. I forgot how many billions. I've read it. It was probably years ago, but 300. I think it's however many billion, 300 and something. I don't remember. Billions of cells that reproduce daily. You reproduce billions of cells daily. So many billions die, and then you reproduce so many billions. That's why it's so important to wake up a better version of yourself. Never try to go to bed feeling the best that you possibly can. Happy thoughts, good feelings. Never go to bed with an angry head, because while you sleep, these cells are dying off and they are rebuilding, and you don't want to rebuild new cells with negativity. The goal is becoming a better version of yourself daily, and in time, you become a better, you become whatever you become. I don't know. I don't know. There's just so much. I know so much. I have so much knowledge, and I don't know nothing. I don't enjoy being around people. I've learned that through Carl Jung and Alan Watts, and it took them to make me realize that it's not me. It took them. They helped me realize why I am the way I am. Why I don't enjoy people's company. I just see things that other people can't see. And it's just. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I see things that others are unable to see. That many others are unable to see. There are so many in my shoes that are even further advanced than myself. And I consider, and I'm just, I'm trying to find whatever it is I'm trying to find on this journey. I just know that I try to wake up on a daily basis a better version of myself than I did the prior day. I try, although I go through storms just like Earth goes through thunderstorms, sometimes my emotions and my brain will set me in a thunderstorm. But my dad taught me this will pass. All this bad stuff will pass. Just like in my dad taught me a lot, and I'm able to put a lot of his words that he taught me into implicate them in my life. Just he said that it'll pass. Bad times will pass. Just like a thunderstorm, it can't rain all the time. Just like in The Crow, the movie, when he says it can't rain all the time, it will pass. You just have to learn to navigate the storms of your emotions, your thoughts. Your I just have to. When I say you, I mean I. I just have to learn, and I got a lot of work to do. I still got work to do. all the yogis and the gurus, you start learning, and the Dalai Lamas, you start learning that these people are very highly intelligent, but maybe not as not as not practiced as they speak they are. They're not as practiced as they speak that they are. Meaning, they say what they do what I say, not as I do, because they probably don't do as they say. Is what I'm trying to say. I've been trying to live like a monk since probably. Anyway, I don't want to go there. I started deprogramming my pre-programmed self that was passed down generation to generation. I began deprogramming all them ideas, all them beliefs that were passed down generation after generation. My religion, everything. I began deprogramming it out of my life, and it's been a heck of a journey from 2012 to 2020. Was one heck of a journey. I fought many battles within. Many battles I fought within. And I've also documented my entire journey. I can go back to videos. I can remember what I was thinking in them videos. I mean, I've got everything documented. It's so great. And it might not have been my plan at the very beginning when I started creating videos, but after a very short time, I realized that I can go back on these videos and I can scrounge them up and just understand my feelings, my thoughts, my thought process, my emotions, and just the change that I've went through from 13 years, 14 years ago. But I can remember everything. My very first memory of life was probably around when I was right around 2 years old. Was my very first memory, and I can just remember my entire life. I have memories are beautiful. And I've met so many people throughout life that are unable. The aura that's around me, people open up to me and just, I guess it's my aura. People tell me things that they should not tell me. I mean, they clean out their closet. It's like I'm a priest and they just confess to me. It's unbelievable. Yet, where I was trying to go with that was so many people don't have memories of their childhood, and it astonished me that how we humans are able to block out certain thoughts because of trauma. That people's childhood was so bad that they're able to block their entire childhood, able to block their every memory. To not have memories are freaking beautiful. Even the bad. I mean, if it wasn't for the bad, I wouldn't be who I am today. But if you could learn to flip the perspective on the bad, that's what I've learned to do in life was flip the perspective. What came learned that I'm just a mirror. That when I have an encounter in public, it's either I'm receiving a lesson or I'm given a lesson. Whichever, every encounter is a lesson. And I've learned some lessons. I've also learned to hope the best for my enemies. Those that have really done me wrong, I've learned to hope for the best for them. And I just had a deal back in August where a lady, anyway, it doesn't even matter. I hope the best for her too, because she was wrong, and I hope the best for her. I hope she learns a very valuable lesson from her actions and her words that caused me what it caused. Me to try to ruin somebody's life over a lie that you don't even know. She don't even didn't even know me, and just anyway. I hope the best for that lady. I've learned to just that's what I've learned to do. Because life lessons are for all of us. It ain't just for me. I've just learned to navigate them, and I've gotten very, very good. I mean, I am very humble. I live with peace. I've lost all my joy and happiness, but I have peace, and I think peace is a higher level than having joy and happiness. I used to be joyful, happy, giddy. I thought like I said, in my early 40s, I thought I had life figured out, and I was so happy and I was so joyful, living a very good life, making money hand over fist, and I loved my job, loved my career, loved what I'd done. But all that was I mean, it was just rug pulled out from under me due to a condition that I was born with, forced retirement at the age of 47. Like I said earlier, I flipped my perspective and I see things differently. And I'm beginning my second retirement now, and I don't even have to do anything except reallocate money, just like I planned on doing when I reached them 6 zeros. Just allocate the money and let it come in and reallocate that money. I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing beginning now. But it took me 4 years for the dust to settle and regather my bearings. And because I mean, I was rug pulled. I've lost everything. But what I also learned was shelter, water, and food. That's the most important. Once you get shelter, water, and food, then you can start working on building from there. My shelter's paid for. Anyway, doesn't matter. All I know is I'm beginning my second retirement starting this month, or May actually. It'll be May. I'll be starting my exactly 4 years since I've been road pulled. It took me 4 years to get back to this point to where it's been a struggle. From 2020 to 2025 was a struggle. It was a struggle. Worst. It was the worst times of my life. Coming up out of all them looped or deep rabbit holes with the emotions, with the storms I was going through. Wow. I mean, I've lost it. It's unbelievable. A man that loses everything. I mean, my livelihood, all I've known since I got out of high school, that's all I've known was that trade. It's the only way I knew how to make a living. And we were damn good too. Me and my uncle, we were the best in town in my opinion at what we done. In our, in ours, I was a specialist. I mean, I could look in, I could tell you how you plumb, I could figure your plumbing system out quicker than most people because I was a specialist at drain cleaning. That was my specialty was drain cleaning. I could, we could, we could do a lot of the drain, and I could figure out the system. I mean, you could send me to like a big place like Walmart, and I could figure out the system fairly quickly, more quick than most people, and that's why I would always try to tell people, because it would take some people days to figure out a plumbing system. Once somebody figures out a plumbing system and you have that much money invested in that person and they know your entire system, you they're very valuable to you. Because it's anyway. I used to think I understood. I could look in the ground and I could. I mean, I could. It's like I just could. Remote view into the ground and just see the plumbing system. I just knew how it was laid out. I could see the combis, the T's. I could see where T's were laid on, blind T's were plumbed in, where, when it would go from one stool to the other because somebody put in a blind T instead of, plumbing it properly, instead of putting in a combi and letting it roll where it's supposed to roll. And I could just see the blind T's, and I could hit the blind T's, and I got very good. And I think we were the best in town, other than the old timers that I learned from. There was two guys that were better at drain cleaning than me in this town. But we were good plumbers too. We were good repairmen. That's what I was a plumbing repairman, and we were damn good at repairing. But I was a specialist at drain cleaning, and I could figure out somebody's system quicker than most people can figure them out. Than most any plumbers that I ever knowed in this town. It's just like the wind talked to me. It just spoke to me, and it just showed me the way. It's kind of like how I've learned a lot about other things in life. It just shows me. It just tells me. It talks to me. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. Well, I got the gift of gab tonight, don't I? But basically exactly 4 years after the rug's been pulled out from under my life, I'm going to begin my second retirement. I'm only 51 years old. If I live to be 70, I mean, that's what I'm trying to grow what I got so that I'm able to survive and live a good life at my older age. I mean, a lot of people ain't gonna be able to retire when they're 65, 70. I got to retire at the age of 47, although it was a forced retirement. But like I said, I'm beginning my second retirement now, and you got to continue growing. You got to continue planting. Plant your crops. Plant them. Don't dig them up. Can't. Anyway, gotta keep growing. Spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially. There's nowhere in the world I'd rather be tonight. With everything going on out there in the world, I mean, it's just seems it's getting wild out there. And I don't even enjoy watching. I can't even. I do spend too much time on social media, but I don't spend near the time that I could. But whenever it's rainy outside and I'm stuck inside, I get carried away on social media. I get to doom scrolling, but I try to keep my emotions separate from it and I try not to watch bad stuff. And why they want to show me that stuff, I'm not even interested in that stuff. That's what's crazy. It, I can see where people's emotions can go real high to frustrating to anger to real low, back to high, happy, joyful, just in a few scrolls. And to, I mean, that is a train wreck. Dead scrolling is a train wreck. But I've learned to keep my emotions at have zero judgment. I don't judge. I just, if it's entertaining, I'll watch it. Now, I don't like, there's a lot of that stuff I don't like, and I'll just, I try to keep my emotions detached. I try to keep my judgments detached. And if it's, and I just, but I still get caught up dead scrolling. I mean, it happens. You know, I'll probably waste an hour tonight, probably, as I'm laying in bed after I take a shower and eat. Before I go to sleep, I'll probably scroll through a few things. I mean, it's an addiction, and there's some, I know there are people, I've been guilty. Spend the entire day scrolling. I've been guilty on cold days when you're stuck inside, nothing to do. I've been guilty. And I don't, I mean, just waste a whole day and not learn a thing. Not learn nothing. Life is amazing. Life is a journey. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? I know I can. I love it. I mean, Warren Buffett is 95 years old, or however old he is. He's 90 something, and still doing his thing, still driving, still just doing his thing. It's amazing. And I remember in one of his things, I haven't watched a lot of Warren Buffett, but I've watched enough, and he says, "Oh, there's nothing to it. You just sit around and wait. Just sit around and wait." And that's where I'm at now in my life, financially. Just sit around and wait. Oh, that's all I got to do. You know, you go. That's where I was talking about that farm earlier. You know, planting your crops because that came from Warren Buffett. You know, he owns a farm, and he said you just plant it and you sit and wait for it to grow. And then when it's harvest time, you just harvest or whatever. And that's he was talking about your finances. That's how he says it's that simple. The stock market is that simple. He was using the farm as an analogy of the stock market. You just plant it and just sit around and wait for it to grow. And that's what I do. That's what I'm doing. That's working on my second retirement, buying companies, owning companies. I'm fixing to own about 4 companies. That's how that's what try to diversify your money real well. With smaller money, it's hard. But how can you manage big money if you can't even manage little money? So instead of owning 20 companies, I'm going to start off owning 4 companies. I've already got them picked. Just got to start allocating my money into them. Diverting my. It's going to be great. I love it. I freaking love it. That's another thing I learned in business is you must pay yourself first. When people are working for other people, well, let me rewind that. In business, I learned you must pay yourself first, and I always paid myself. I mean, I was making so much money I didn't even have to worry about it, but I did learn to save a certain amount. I was buying $10,000 a month in gold and silver there in the in 2020, whatever years it was, up to 2022, which I started buying gold and silver before then. I started buying gold and silver before all that, but I was really ramping it up because I felt with the people people I was learning from at that time, I seen what was coming. I could just see it through the world economics I knew, that I learned through trading stocks, the people that I was following, very smart, intelligent people that I was following at the time. They were laying the roadmap out, and I could just see everything that was coming. And gold was around 1,600 an ounce back whenever I started buying. Whenever I was buying it heavily, it was under $1,000 an ounce when I first started buying it. But I didn't know what I knew just a few, when that was back in like 2009 or something when I first started buying gold. It was under 1,000 an ounce. But I didn't understand, I didn't even realize we went through a 2008 crash. I didn't even know that. I started a business in the worst time one could start one. I mean, according to the crash and all that, I didn't understand all that stuff. I didn't realize all that. But I learned. I started learning. And then I started purchasing gold and silver, and I was preparing for my retirement. In 2022, if I still would have had the gold and silver that I had in May of 2022, I would have I would, if I had what I had in 2022 ounce wise in gold and silver, I'd had over $500,000 just in gold and silver at today's prices. And that was in 2022. This is 2026. If my financial situation would have continued the way it was, I definitely would have been a millionaire by now. But it would have sent me down a different path that would have took me probably to my the best version of myself. Because money will make an asshole a bigger asshole. Kind of like steroids. If you're an asshole and you start taking steroids, you're just going to be a bigger asshole. If you're an asshole and you got a little money, and you become more money, you're going to become a bigger asshole. Definitely took me down a different path. Did you get it in, man? Hell yeah. Yeah. Supposed to rain all week. I gotta get all this I can. Yeah, before it rains. See you, man. that number would have been actually 357,000 if I had not half a million. It would have been 357,000 at today's prices. But I definitely would have had a whole. I'd have been. That was 222. This is 20. That was four. That's 4 extra years that I would have had to accumulate even more. So anyway, it wouldn't have been a half a million. It would have only been 357,000. But still. Speaking of gambling earlier, these youngins, I see so many gambling videos going on out there. That is not the life, y'all. You cannot. It's a miserable, miserable life. I've lived it. I paid my bills for 2.5 years, well, basically about 2 years, and it was a total of 2.5 years before I had to go back to plumbing. But I paid my bills playing poker, and it was the most miserable. It was so miserable playing poker for a living. And then I went broke, went to work for a casino for a little while. And I won me a little tournament, and I quit the casino. And I tried to continue that poker journey, and once I went broke the second time, I called my dad and said I need my job back, and thankfully he took me in, and I just started learning all I could about plumbing. I tried to avoid becoming a plumber. My great grandpa, my grandpa, my dad was a plumber. I did not want to be a damn plumber. But it turned out I loved my job. Once I went in business is when I really enjoyed it. It's when I learned to really enjoy it. In 2009, I worked for my dad. I started in the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union in 1996. Worked in the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union for 2 years, traveling the road. I worked here in town for probably about right at a year. And then we went to Illinois. I worked on the road a little bit out there, and worked a little bit on the road for a year and a half, however long it was. Then I went to work for my dad in 1998 at his plumbing company. And he started teaching me, and probably around, I don't know, 2000, whatever year it was. I don't even remember what year it was. 2002-ish. Right before Chris Moneymaker won the WSOP, it was around that time. But just before that, because that's when poker exploded. I was playing poker for a living at that time. And then I went back to work for my dad. I didn't have to beg him. I just asked him, could I have my job back? I just started learning all I could, and he put me in business. He was going to give me his company, but I didn't want. He was going to give me his company, but I didn't want everyone saying I got what I got because he gave it to me. I started a company dead from scratch in March of 2009. I went to Tunica to play poker, and thankfully I didn't lose my $2,000 because that's what got me my insurance. Continue. took $2,000 or $2,500 to Tunica to play poker with that year. It was probably February of 2009. Went to Tunica. I think it was 2,000 or 2,500, and I came back with. Usually I'd lose it all. Every year I'd end up losing it all. But I came back with that money that day, that month, and thankfully, because he said I was going into business for myself. I said, oh yeah, and I had to get insurance, however much that cost. I had to get whatever I had to get. I had just enough money to get started. I started in the back of my pickup truck. I had a 1997 Chevrolet short wide. It had the ground effects and all that stuff on it. I ended up selling that to my brother for $1. It was a legacy conversion. But I came back with money. I started in the back of that pickup truck. I had a bucket of tools. I had a sink machine and a tub machine. And when I would get a main line, my dad would allow me to borrow the van. And I just started growing that company, and I grew it into a very, very successful business. I was making money hand over fist, and I am every day. I mean, it wasn't even like work. I mean, there were hard days for sure. I mean, we worked hard. Me and Bub, we worked hard. But for the most part, it wasn't even work. It was just enjoyable. It was just us being like we were when we was kids, jamming the radio, windows down, head banging through town, throwing out the rock and roll horns, the rock, it's just how we was. We just wild and free, in our 30s and 40s, just wild and free, living it up. Which he only worked for me for 7 years, but he didn't miss one day. He missed one day in 7 years just because of a spider bite. The doctor told me he couldn't work that day. It was a Friday. He got spider bit on Thursday, or on a Wednesday. He went to the doctor on a Thursday, and the doctor told him that he needed to take off work. So he missed one day. It was on a Friday in 7 years. I had 3 other employees total. One of them I had to get rid of real fast within just a few weeks. The other ones worked for me for however long. I had them ready to get their plumbing license, and they quit. I mean, I had them where they fixed to make $30 an hour, and one of them quit from where he was going to make $30 an hour and went to work for $10, $11 an hour somewhere. Made no sense to me. But nonetheless, he left. Just as I got him all trained up, and he understood and very good at his job, and just quit. And then I'd hire another guy, and that guy I got rid of after a couple of weeks. And then I hired another guy, and he stayed with me for three and a half years. And I bought his plumbing books. He was ready to become a plumber, and he quit. I was like, well, gosh, I was done teaching people. I didn't want to teach another person because that was done 2 of them. I done taught what I taught them, spending all that time and all that energy, and they just quit. I was done teaching. And then Bub was in the circumstance he was in, and he's my uncle. He's a year older than I am. See, he's 53, I'm 51. He's 2 years older because he's 2 years older than I am. Anyway, he was in his circumstance that he was in, and I said, I'll give you a job. I need you here every day. Every day I need you here. He said, man, I'll be the best employee you ever had. I said, all right. And then I hurt my shoulder. I had a dirt bike wreck because I used to ride motocross. And I hurt my dang shoulder, and I couldn't even lift up the ladder. Oh, that's when I hired. That was the guy that only worked for me for 2 weeks. That's when I hired him. I told Bub, I hurt my shoulder. I gotta have, because you just gotta understand Bub, where he came from, and all that stuff. I kind of put him on the back burner. And I hired that other guy because he had experience. He's worked for plumbers ever since I could remember. But he was worthless as tits on a boar hog. And I, after 2 weeks, I just had to let him go. And I went and told Bubba, I said, Bubba, I had to let him go. And I said, man, I need you here every day. I said, my shoulders hurt. I can't lift the ladder off the truck. I mean, I'm going to need your help. And he said, I'll be the best employee you ever had. And from that day to the day I got road pulled because he couldn't drive. You know, he didn't have a driver's license since he was 18 or 19 because of whatever reason. I know the reason, but it doesn't matter. He hasn't. He didn't have a driver's license. He was never going to get a driver's license, and I knew I could never grow the way I wanted to grow because my idea was to train apprentices, put them in trucks, treat them very good the way my dad taught me to treat people. Put them in a truck and just grow my business, and eventually me kick back with the straw hat and just kind of guide the troops. That was my idea. But as soon as I get them trained up, they quit. But anyway, Bub was 100. I mean, he was a 99.9% show up rate. The best employee I ever had, and I wouldn't have traded him for the two. For one of them, Bub was better than one of them for sure, but Clint was, man, I hated losing Clint. And there ain't nothing that guy, including vehicles, there ain't nothing that guy couldn't take apart and put back together. I hated to lose him. But I wouldn't trade Bub for none of them. Bub was good at, we were like peanut butter and jelly, a hand in a glove. I mean, I didn't even have to tell him what to do. We'd show up, I would go play my position, he would play his position. I didn't even have to tell him what to do. I mean, we just worked so well together. It was so great. And fun. We had so much fun together. I only got mad at him twice. Angry mad at him. Twice in 7 years. One time was ignorance on his part. I feel like he's crossed the boundaries. So if he ever did that again, I was gonna hurt him bad. And then the second time, he was just trying to. But I was under so much. He was just trying to do the right, trying to make our job easier, getting the van closer to where we was working, and he got the damn thing stuck. And we were way out in the middle of nowhere, and I had to call a wrecker, and I was under so much pressure and so much stress at that time. That was right before I got road pulled, because there was so much going on in my life, and my eyesight was going bad, which I was born with bad eyes. I had already been, then went and got all the surgeries I could get. I mean, there wasn't nothing. I was under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and whenever that happened, I just kind of lost it on him. He was actually trying to just make our job easier, and he's a no driving son of a gun. I told him, anyway, I got angry at him for that. The record came out, and we actually didn't even have to pay the guy, and it kind of worked out. I was still angry. That other one, though, he crossed the line, and that's the only 2 times I got angry at him, though. When he worked for his dad was a plumber too. Whenever he was young, his dad was a new construction plumber. I was a repairman. I was raised to be a repairman. I didn't know new construction. Bub's dad was a new construction, and whenever he's dropped purple primer on brand new tubs. Being up in the attic and having that purple primer and it just sloshing it everywhere. I never kept purple primer in the truck unless we were working outside, installing a new sewer line, or under a house installing a new sewer line. Purple primer was not allowed in my van. And as soon as we got done with that construction job, that purple primer went in the garbage. No purple primer was ever allowed on my van. They had to buy, had to buy a brand new gosh dang tub, had to uninstall it and reinstall it. Man, over a little purple primer, over dripping it. Painted the damn tub purple. That's when he worked for his dad. But I never kept purple primer. That's probably the reason why. And that was even before he worked for me. We had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun in my life. I've got to have a lot of experiences. I've got, I mean, I rode motocross like I was a professional. I would tear my bikes down. I learned to, I didn't do the bottom ends of a motor because there were so many tiny little pieces, and but I could put in I could do a top end on 4 strokes, 2 strokes. I could rebuild the forks. I mean, there wasn't too much I couldn't. I'd tear it down to the frame and completely rebuild it. I didn't do the shock because I didn't have all the equipment to do the shock. But as far as the shock and the bottom engine, the bottom part of the engine, I could do it all. I changed bearings. There's nothing I couldn't do on a dirt bike other than the bottom half of an engine and the shock itself. I couldn't rebuild the shock. But I could rebuild the forks. I rebuilt, and see, I got that RM250 in 2013, I think, and from 2013 to 2020, I rebuilt that RM250 from the ground up, brand new engine and all. I think I put 3 brand new engines in it. How many top ends did I do? Probably 2 or 3 top ends on it. Yeah, I did 2 or 3 top ends on it, but I rebuilt that bike from the ground up 3 different times in just a few years. But I rode like I was a professional. I did not enjoy going to the track and breaking down. I hated that. Work all week and I just my maintenance was on top, and it got so bad. I mean, things things would break down. I went through the electrical system was a lot of my problem. The CDI boxes, I don't know what was wrong with these CDI boxes, but my CDI boxes went bad all the time where it wouldn't, produce spark to the spark plug. I had 2 or 3 brand new ones of them. You couldn't buy a used CDI. Just couldn't do it. But I had 2 or 3 brand new CDIs. Oh, what's that? It sits right under the tank. That other little electrical piece. I forgot what they call that. I had 2 or 3 of them too. It sat right under the gas tank with the electrical system tied up to it. It takes that to spark too, which that never went bad. But I still had 2 or 3 of them. I forgot what it's called off the top of my head. I spent so much money on dirt bikes. I bet there ain't no telling how much money I had in that RM250. But I learned a lot on that bike. Had a lot of fun on that motorcycle. Then I got a YZ. Oh no, I went to RMZ250. I bought it used from a racer, and it was trying to hurt me. So I tore it down and threw it away because it was not good. It was possessed. I say that bike was possessed. I threw that sucker in the garbage. I really did. I had $5,000 total in it. I threw it in the garbage. That's the truth. The only sold the head, and then I gave the frame to a guy that worked for me for aluminum scrap because whatever it weighed, he was gonna scrap it. But other than that, the rest of the motorcycle went in the trash. Oh, I kept the forks and the shock because the forks and the shock would fit on my RM250 and it was a backup. Same valving and everything. I had an A-kit suspension on that RM250. It came with it. And I had the black, the forks were, it was all, what do they call that? Some kind of coating, whatever coating that was on it. And it had, I mean, it was a high dollar freaking suspension. Which the bike was clapped out when I first got it. It was more smooth out. But that's the first time I rebuilt it. And then after that RMZ250, after I throwed it away, I bought a brand spanking new YZ250F. Put 50 hours on it, and I put a big bore on it because I thought I needed more power. Thought I needed to go faster. Because coming out of the reason I put a big bore on it, they trying to get some more coming out of the corners and hitting them jumps coming out of that corner. It was hard to clear them. So I ended up putting, I think, right at 100 hours on that motorcycle. And I ended up selling it. And then I bought the 2018. It was the first year they had the electric start. I think it was 2018 YZ450F. I always had two bikes, and I always carried two bikes too, because when that RM would break down, that RM just, the electrical on it, it didn't want to start all the time. It was done. It was ready to retire, I guess. Always something wrong with it. Then I started going through what I started going through, and I just couldn't ride no more. Didn't enjoy riding anymore. That started happening in about 2019. So I rode for about 6 or 7 years motocross. I was motocrossing everywhere. I was a weekend warrior, boy. You can count on me at being one. I'd either be in Tulsa, I'd be in Old Moulton, I'd be over by Arkansas, or I'd be in Oklahoma City. You can count on me being at one of them tracks on a weekend if the weather permitted. Just living life to the best I do have. What that was just me reminiscing. Me living all that life, having all that fun, and in the meantime, wasn't spending any quality time with my wife. Our child was already grew up. She was almost fully grown anyway. quality time with my wife, and so that's, is what it is. I had a lot of fun. My wife loved me. She still loves me. We're just not together anymore. That's the cost of whatever. Yeah, that's I'm alone, man. I can't ever imagine ever being with anyone else though. We was together for 31 years. I can't imagine ever being with anyone else. Cause I didn't even know her between work, motocross, and everything I was learning. I was putting in 16, 18 hours a day. Working out. I used to bench press 320 pounds. And I would work out at home. I had my own home gym because going to the gym and then coming back home, hell, that would waste 30 minutes. And I learned to allocate my time. My time was so precious. I just had it figured out. But I never threw really no time in on my wife. But she didn't ever really even. We'd go out to eat and stuff. And we'd go through that process of, where you want to eat? I don't care. Where you want to eat? I don't care. Wherever. What sounds good? We'd go through that. It was just, we never spent no quality time together, and we just grew apart. Once the child grew up, moved out, then she got married, then we had grandkids. That was the best. That changed my perspective on life right there. Having grandkids and understanding looking at life a little different. We ended up building a brand new big house out where we shouldn't have, but we was a block away from our daughter and our grandkids, and it was so special. When my grandkids, when they all moved out of state to another state, my wife was, it just changed because we weren't close. We didn't know each other. We just didn't know each other. We never spent. That was them kids and our child was her life. And it's understandable. It's just the way it was meant to be, is all I know. I was running and gunning, and she lived her own life. She's wrote a book. She's finishing up her second book, working on finishing her second book since we've been split up. We've been split up. We started dating, whatever, in '94, September '94. I couldn't tell you how many times we split up since then. Yeah, we split up 3 times from 2020 to 2025 because she was going through what she was going through, and I was going through what I was going through. It's a rough time for both of us. And the same thing happened. She got rug pulled in 2017 the way I was rug pulled. I just didn't see it then. She lost her job. She didn't have no self-value. Felt like she's probably worthless because I went through them feelings too whenever I got rug pulled. I can understand that. But I was still growing. I was making plenty of money. It didn't even matter if she was working. I was just doing what I knew to do was provide. That's all I knew to do was provide. And just living my life. When I could have been by her side, but it ain't the way it worked out. Either way, it worked out the way it was supposed to. We still love each other. We just grown apart. That's crazy. Haven't seen and talked to my grandkids in almost 2 years. Haven't spoken to my daughter in since around August of last year because of my ideas don't align with her beliefs. That, which is cool because that's what I taught her. I said, people don't align with you, don't associate with them. So everything that I tried to teach her through life, but she don't associate with me because I think the way I think, which is fine. That's cool, good for her. But everything I lived for, everything that I lived for, that I thought I lived for, that I provided for, everything that I provided for, I'll put it that way, that I would have killed for, just vanished overnight, basically. Ain't that crazy? Everything I provided for, everything I killed for, would have killed for. I would have killed for my family, just like any man, any good provider, any good man. I mean, when them, when that kid was trying to bully my kid in junior high, I went down. I was going to do some bad things to the dad. And then the grandma, come find out she lived with her grandma. That was a. But anyway, my kid quit getting bullied after that day. I wasn't having that. To be with someone for 31 years and not even know them, I didn't even know I don't even know. Ain't that crazy? And I can't even imagine trying to ever be with somebody else. I mean, I'm 51, in another no way. Not a chance. I just can't imagine it. But life is crazy. Anything can happen at any time. Just meet the right person. I mean, it could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. I can't imagine it happening. Because how can you learn I'm just now learning myself. I mean, truly, I'm just learning myself. Just getting myself to the position I'm in. Just, I'm very emotionally stable. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say now. I'm all discombobulated. My thoughts are running. What could have been, what I thought could have been. My thoughts are just. All I do know is if the illusion, even if it was just an illusion, all I know is that the love my wife gave me, I wouldn't, if it wasn't for her love, her motherly love, I wouldn't be who I am today. That's all I know. Even if that were, even if, not that it was, even if that love was an illusion, the illusion of that love would have saved me. Does that make sense? The illusion of the love that I felt like she gave me could would, even if it wasn't real, it would have saved me. Is what I'm trying to say. Ain't that crazy? That's freaking psychological. That is some deep psychological stuff right there. I could. That's a lot of. I've studied a lot of psychology. I understand people's thoughts. I understand what people are going to say before they say it, just by their emotions, what the emotions that we're going through. I am very. I could have been a psychologist.